G'day, my name's Megan Nay and I am a dual Olympian, 2 times Commonwealth Games gold medalist and just a pretty awesome person sometimes. And you are listening to the Physical Performance Show.
And the winner is...
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
Phelps with 10 meters left. 3 minutes too good. The crowd roaring. Freeman wins gold.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show, brought to you by the Gold Coast Marathon and Pogo Physio. I'm Brad Beer, sports physiotherapist by trade and training, and founder of Pogo Physio. Each week we'll bring you a range of episodes, ranging from featured performers through to coaches' corners, interest editions, and expert editions. And on today's episode, I share with you a recent conversation that I had with this week's featured performer, Megan Nay. Megan Nay is an Australian dual Olympic swimming team member and also a dual Commonwealth Games gold medalist. In 2010, Megan picked up the 200 metre backstroke title and also the 4x200 metre freestyle gold medal at the Delhi Commonwealth Games. Megan's story to swimming stardom is really unlike many others. On today's episode, Megan will share around the very highs of her career, the very lows of her career, including the tragic loss of her beloved father, and then later her brother Ramos, both due to motor vehicle accidents, and also the learnings, the many learnings that Megan took through her professional swimming career. We'll touch on key training principles and concepts, finding the courage to swim at the World Swimming Championships upon receiving the news of Megan's brother's passing, the challenges of transitioning out of professional sport, and so much more. So let's dive in. Here is my conversation with Megan Nay. Megan Nay, this is a real pleasure to have you here in person today for a recording of the Physical Performance Show. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Megan, we always start with this. What's one thing you're learning at the moment?
One thing I am learning at the moment is trying to find me, trying to find what I love in life, trying to find what I'm good at, and stepping away from Megan Nay the swimmer to the next chapter in my life and finding out who am I and what am I good at, and yeah, just trying to find myself in different things along the way, and I'm also learning to break into the fitness industry. So I finished my personal training course on Friday, which is pretty exciting.
This coming week.
Yeah. So that's a little thing I'm learning at the moment, and yeah, just trying to find out who I am apart from being a swimmer.
Let's just hang there for a minute, because you know that's something that we are also attached to what we do, but obviously that isn't who we are. And, you know, it's well chronicled, the transitions out of professional sport, not just in Australia, but worldwide. How have you found that? Challenging?
Yeah, I definitely, if I'm honest, it was really hard. And I've been retired for now nearly 4 years. And I feel like I've just come to a good place. It definitely doesn't happen overnight. And I was like, no, I'm never going to be one of those people that is going to, struggle through the transitional period. Because I'm always really positive. I like to do things that make me happy, but it's really hard. I'll be honest. There was some pretty crappy days. And to try and get through, to try and find out what you want to do next, or to try and find out what, kind of what gets you to that high, like the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games, it's really hard to try and then I struggled through. I was, kind of hanging out with the wrong people and the wrong crowd, and I got stuck in that kind of not knowing what to do stage. I was a little bit lost with everything, and then so it's taken me nearly 4 years to try and figure out different pathways of what I want to do, and I've learnt a lot of lessons. I've lost a few good friends. I have gained a few more interesting friends, and I feel like I'm such a more knowledgeable person now, but also I feel that I'm stepping towards finding out who I really am.
Yeah, wow, thanks for taking us there. In terms of Megan, we themed this show the highs, the lows and the learnings. You know, you mentioned that post your swimming career you had some crappy days.
Yeah.
What was the darkest day of your career, even post swimming? What did that look like?
Post swimming, I think
Describe it.
I think it's like the feeling of you're not, like, because you've finished your sport and because you've finished something that you're very good at, it's like, what can I be good at next? And I just found that I hadn't found what I was good at besides swimming. So, you know, waking up and not having a vision or not having a goal of what am I good at is really, really mentally challenging. So it would mean I would either do everything that I wasn't supposed to do while swimming. I was partying, traveling. So either I would, you know, wake up and not want to get out of bed, or wake up and see what my friends are doing, or we'd go partying, or to just try and distract me from that real feeling of feeling like shit, pretty much. Not knowing what I wanted to do, and then feeling like a failure because I hadn't got my life kind of together, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's pretty, you know, you come from a successful athlete and everyone wants a bit of you and everyone thinks that you're amazing and everyone thinks that you did so well. And for you to go to the next stage and no one kind of, I wouldn't say no one, but people try and encourage you and people try and push you in the right direction, but ultimately it's yourself that, you know, you have to try and get to that next stage and find out what you want to do. But yeah, I think there were some pretty crappy days, and I think that I think you kind of have to, for me, I feel like you have to go through those shitty days to earn, you know, the better days in life, and they kind of have helped me figure out what I want and what I want to do.
What do you think could be done better, Megan, to assist athletes transitioning out of full-time / professional careers in sport? In your case, you know, swimming.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think I feel like there should be like a few more different kind of programs preparing you for what life after sport is really about, and making sure you either are studying or working or finding something that you're interested, that you want to do post-sport. I'm not saying you have to have a job lined up after sport, but finding something that you truly are interested in and want to do post-sport. I think, and surrounding yourself, you know, with people that are interested in you post-sport and not interested in you just because you're winning or just because you're going to the Olympics, or not riding that wave with you. So, yeah, I think a few different little programs preparing you for life after sport, definitely.
Is there a sense that when you finish, you've been amongst the best of the best, so you're, you know, in an imaginary ladder, you're up the top in the world of swimming.
Yeah.
But then when you finish swimming and you're off that ladder and you're into your next adventure, whatever that is, that you feel like you've been left behind a little, like people that weren't full-time swimming have got careers and off they go. Is there a sense of that as someone that's an achiever, clearly, someone that, you know, values getting the best out of yourself?
Yeah, I think you just, when you're an athlete, you just strive to be the best you can be at what you're good at. And every day you have a goal. Every day you remind yourself why you're doing it, why you get up at 5 a.m. and to push yourself every day, and then for suddenly to stop and get up and go, crap, like what am I going to do today? Or like, what do I want today? That's not involved in sport, that's really hard to try and mentally get around. Mentally trying to set goals and mentally trying to kind of steer yourself to what you want post-sport. I think I don't feel like left behind. I feel like just trying to control those emotions in between that really hard little stage between post and figuring out, what you want to do next. And getting those goals, like if you found a career or if you found something else post your sporting career, finding those goals and finding that routine again and finding that real balance. I feel like balance is a huge thing post-sport. I'm lucky enough to try, and I'm balancing a few things at the moment, which I'm really happy about. So balance is a huge key for me, and I think if you can try and find that, that's probably the key for me as well.
Let's rewind the clock. So young Megan, when did she first find a way into a pair of swimmers and a 50-metre pool?
Oh, geez. It wasn't a 50-metre pool. It was like the backyard pool.
Don't kill a good story.
I am one of 4, so I'm the youngest of 4 kids. So growing up, my mum actually owned 2 swim schools. And so I feel like I just grew up around the pool. I got dragged along to swim meets. I got dragged along to surf lifesaving carnivals through my sister and my brother and my other sister. So I didn't really have a choice. I just kind of got dragged along and didn't get a choice about anything. So it was either learn to swim because I was around pools and oceans. And then I didn't really want to be a swimmer, to be honest. I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I think I joined a surf club, Northcliffe Surf Club, when I was 12 years old. And I was like, yeah, I want to do nippers, like have fun. Like I love the ocean. So I joined Northcliffe Surf Club, and then I went around nippers, and I thought if I was going to be good at nippers, I thought I've got to train. Like if you want to be good at something, obviously you've got to train. So I started going to swim school, I think Southport Swimming Pool, when I was about 12. Started doing 2 sessions a week because I wanted to be better at nippers. Not swimming, didn't want to swim at all, didn't really appeal to me. So yeah, I started training at 12 and doing maybe 2 or 3 sessions a week. And then I kind of got better at swimming and better at lifesaving as well at nippers. So from there, it was just kind of a bit of a flow-on effect. I think I just got better and better each year, and then I realised that self-belief kind of picked up, and I was like, maybe I can do this. And yeah, it kind of just got better and better.
And was there any time when that self-belief that started to, build up for you, Megan, intersected with maybe a coach or someone saying, hey, Megan, put your head down, maybe go up from 2 to 3 sessions a week at 12 years of age, to say, hey, you've got some real talent, focus your energies? Did anyone come along like that?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I've had 4 pretty amazing coaches in my career. So we actually had the lease at Southport Pool. So funny story, like our family used to live at Southport Pool when you were young. I wasn't born then, but Mum and Dad actually ran the Southport Pool. So to swim there was pretty special. But yeah, I started there when I was 12. I think I was under Steve Clark. And then Ian Thorpe's old coach, Doug Frost, got the coaching rights there. So I stayed on, and it wasn't until I was about 14 or 15 that he kind of identified me and said, look, like if you really, try and train hard and do everything that I tell you, like I feel like you can do something in swimming. And that was where I kind of said, okay, cool. Like, wow, like that's pretty cool. Like that's Ian Thorpe's old coach. Like he must know something about swimming. So from there, I think, about 14, 15, I realized that, hey, like I was okay at swimming. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed pushing my body every day. And then I was still doing surf lifesaving. So I kind of doubled in that, which was pretty cool. But then I think it was 17, I had to make a choice between surf lifesaving and swimming. Obviously, I chose swimming because I just felt that swimming, I wanted to go to the top. Like I wanted to go the Olympics, I wanted to go Commonwealth Games, I wanted to go to Worlds. Surf lifesaving, I just didn't have the Olympics. That was what it came down to. So I obviously chose swimming, and I chose right, which was good. But yeah, from there I stayed with Doug Frost at Southport Pool, and then Glenn Baker, who's still at Southport Pool, running the Southport swim squads there. I had a few years under him, and then when I was 18, I think I made the choice to go to Bowley in Brisbane at St. Peter's Western, and I probably couldn't have asked for a better coach ever. Probably the most amazing man I've ever met, and I just pretty much owe everything in my swimming career and staying in the sport through everything that's happened pretty much to, Bolly.
What made Michael so amazing for you?
Oh, Bolly, he's just that coach that either, he just gets it. He gets you in life, he gets you in swimming, and I think he really pushes your buttons. And when you push people's buttons and you find out what ticks and you find out what doesn't work, I feel like you get the best out of yourself. So for me, I moved up there as a really hungry, kind of driven 18-year-old wanting to make my first Olympics. So I did everything to try and, stand out from the squad, and everything that tried to make him kind of go, yeah, like she has this. I trained really hard and then made my first Olympic team at 19.
Any examples of what you did to make yourself stand out from the squad?
So I was living in Brisbane, but I would come home like on a Tuesday night and a Saturday after training for the weekend. So for me to stand out, I I know it sounds cliche, but I tried to just like push through the pain barrier. So we would have a really hard set on a Tuesday afternoon, which was threshold set. And I didn't know that I was very good at backstroke until I went to Bowley's squad. I knew I was okay at backstroke, but there was already like some very established backstrokers in Bowley's squad. So I didn't want to shy away from backstroke, but I actually started training freestyle. And I tried to push push the limits in freestyle and backstroke. But I just remember this one session, and I was doing freestyle on Tuesday afternoon, and I was pushing times that I hadn't ever done, and I was beating freestylers who were specialised in freestyle, like that whole session. And Bolly was like, I didn't even know like you could do freestyle. Like that's how much I wanted to like get to the Olympics. That's how much I wanted to kind of go, yeah, like she's serious. So for me to roll over and do freestyle was pretty amazing. And then I would drive home an hour just to be with family on a Tuesday night, and then come back Wednesday afternoon, go home on the weekends and come back Sunday night. So I think he really saw that, the commitment and, the drive in me, which I totally respect. And I think we made a first few junior teams under Bowley, and then I made my first Olympic team. And it wasn't until I made my first Olympic team that I think the respect kind of went either way. And I think once you get that respect, that mutual respect between a swimmer and athlete, it kind of, our relationship then, it kind of took off to the next level. We had a lot more trust, and we could kind of work out with the taper. We, went through all the goals and went through the taper. We'd play around with the taper. We'd play around with training, what worked with me mentally. So we kind of just, once you have that mutual respect, once we had that first little, we got this. It kind of just took off from there, which is nice.
That's a great description of the importance of respect and trust in relationships.
Yeah.
Megan, what were the key drivers for your Olympic, campaign? Obviously, you said you were hungry. You wanted to show your coach. Then Michael, put the freestylers behind you in the pool on Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, your late father, Robert, had been to the 1972 Munich Olympic Games as a swimmer.
Yeah.
I suspect that was who later, lost his life in 92. I imagine that was a huge driving force for you to want to honour your father.
Yeah, I think that was probably like my number one kind of goal in respects to, I think it just made it more special that I knew that he'd been there and done that. And I wanted it so bad to kind of be like, yeah, I kind of know what he went through. I know what it's like to swim at the Olympics, but also kind of just to show myself that self-belief, and like if you've got a goal, it's really achievable if you believe in it 100%. So I think, knowing that Dad went to the Olympics, and it sucked. Like it was really hard to try, once I made the Olympic team, to know that it would have been cool. Like, if if he was here and like I would get tips and like ask him what it was like and like, you know, all those kind of things. So that was pretty hard once you've made the Olympic team to not be able to, you know, share it with him and ask him what it was like and get advice and all that kind of stuff. So that was really hard. But I feel like, I was very proud to like make the Olympic team, and that was my first senior team. So I hadn't made any other senior teams. So to go straight to the Olympics was, it was pretty special. I kind of just bypassed all the other ones and went straight to the Olympics, and it was the best 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, wow. And that was the London Olympics 2012?
No, 2008.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beijing.
Wikipedia is not accurate.
It's okay. All good.
Because I was trying to do the timelines here and thinking that doesn't add up. So there we go. Whoever entered that, please correct it. Sorry, Megan. So 2008 Beijing. What was it like standing on the blocks for the first time at the Olympics?
So scary.
Scary.
So scary. I remember. I think I was so nervous. I swam a really good heat swim. I had a really good semi-final, and I went into the final ranked third, and I had 2 world record holders either side of me. And I just remember like getting to the blocks, and my hands were shaking so much, like I couldn't even put on my goggles. And I was just like, holy crap, like what, like how am I going to get through this? So I think from then I just took 3 big breaths, and that's what I do every time before I swim. I have a little routine. And that kind of calmed me down a little bit, and I was just like, I had this thing of pretending it was Friday night club night, and it wasn't the Olympics. And I stood up on the blocks and I was like, it's just Friday night club night, like just have fun, do your thing, like you're so good at this. And I think those little like things that I have before a race for me work so great. I was really nervous, and I was so scared that I was going to stuff it up, or I wasn't going to hit the start, or I was going to slip or something like that. But, you know, once I got in the water and did my thing, and I didn't have the best race. I kind of didn't really go to race plan that well, but it was the biggest learning experience, I think, of my whole career. I learned a lot about myself in 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and I think in the past probably 6 years. So,
what did you learn?
I learned that a lot about pressure and putting pressure on yourself. I learned a lot about nerves and how to cope with nerves and how not to. A lot of people get nervous, and I remember my coach saying nerves are a good thing, but you've got to channel it to, not using that energy. And I think nerves is a good thing because it makes you care, makes you feel like you're caring about something. It obviously means something if you get nervous, so that was great. But I think I learned a lot about sticking to a race plan as well. Actually listening to your coach and not getting too excited and just going all out in the first 100 metres and having nothing left in the last 100 metres. So I learnt that. Nerves, self-belief, and trying to look after your body. As an athlete, you only get one body. You can't trade it in and get another one or anything like that. So I think those 3 or 4 big things I learnt within, probably 2 days at the Olympics.
What did you learn about pressure specifically?
Pressure. I feel like there's 2 types of pressure. I feel it's the pressure that you put on yourself, that inside that you know that you can do it, and outside of pressure. So whether it's the media, whether it's the coaches, whether it's your family, or whether it's the outside pressure and then yourself is putting pressure on yourself. So I've learnt that no matter what happens, your family and friends are still going to be there. They're still going to love you. They're still, you tried your best, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like for me it was putting pressure on myself. I put pressure on myself that I was thinking too much about the outcome and not the process. For me, I definitely have to focus on the process. If you do the process, the outcome's going to look after itself. That was my big thing while I was swimming. So I didn't focus. I was focused on getting a medal. I was focused on a time. I was focused on that kind of big pressure of medals and times and a PB. I wasn't focused on how I was going to get there to get that medal or to get that time. So I think putting pressure on myself and putting pressure on a time and a medal, I think kind of mentally took a huge drain on myself, and a huge, I kind of created like a pressure cooker environment pretty much of yeah, I want to do that. And I was really disappointed when it didn't all come together in the one race that I wanted it to.
You're listening to dual Australian Olympic swim team member and dual Commonwealth Games champion Megan Nay sharing on the highs, the lows and the learnings of her swimming career. Support for today's show comes from the Gold Coast Marathon. Just like the Physical Performance Show, the Gold Coast Marathon encourages runners of all ages and abilities to push their boundaries and strive to complete a personal challenge. The Gold Coast Marathon is held annually on the first weekend in July and is a must-do event for any budding athlete, weekend warrior, or family looking for a challenge to complete together. Run for the good times at the Gold Coast Marathon. Visit goldcoastmarathon.com.au. Support for today's show also comes lovingly from Pogo Physio. We exist to help you get back to your physical best following injury. We want everyone who walks through the doors of Pogo Physio to cross their physio finish line. And that simply is where we give you a high five, celebrate that you're back to your physical best and that you've completed rehabilitation. We do this through some unique and award-winning ways, including our very popular monthly fixed fee wellness booster packs, and of course traditional session-to-session appointments. To schedule your 1 hour initial appointment or to find out more about Pogo Physio's services or to engage with the regular content that we produce, jump over to pogophysio.com.au. For now, let's jump back with Megan Nay. Obviously, that was your first Olympic campaign, 2008, Beijing.
Yeah, not 2012.
No. And then obviously, you went on to London, finished 5th in the final.
Yeah.
But obviously in between there, it was well documented and publicised, Megan, but the 2009 World Swimming Champs. Can you just take us through that outing for you? Obviously, it was a time of great tragedy in the family.
Yeah, it was something that I will never ever forget, and something that a lot of people do ask me about it and how I've kind of overcome that and how I kind of came out the other side to win gold at Commonwealth Games, obviously in 2010. And I think for me, after the Beijing Olympics, I took a lot of time off. I took about 6 weeks. For a swimmer, that's ridiculous. So I did everything I wasn't supposed to do. So getting back into the 2009 season was really hard. I put on a fair bit of weight, and so trying to lose those skin folds, trying to get down to, race weight, all that kind of stuff for a female is already hard enough. So I put a little bit more pressure on myself and I made it a little bit more difficult. So for the 2009 season, we went over to altitude in Arizona and did some altitude training, and I feel like that was really, really good. I love altitude training. So we did that twice, actually, and I just felt heading into Rome in the World Championships, it was the best preparation I've ever had. For me, I swam trials and I did really well in the freestyle. I'd qualified for 3 events for the World Championships in 2009 in Rome, which is the most I've done. So usually I only do the 200 backstroke, but I did the 200 freestyle, 4x2 and the 200 backstroke. So I had 3 events, and my sister lived in London at the time. So she was coming over. My mum and my stepdad were coming over also. So I knew that family were going to be there. And for me, family is a huge thing. We're really close, and to have the family in the crowd is always a big thing. To look up and go, yeah, there they are. I feel like a little bit more calm. So I had the best preparation coming in, and I'm from the Gold Coast, so I love sunshine. I love anything outdoor. And I just remember the Rome pool being outdoor, and it was sunny, and I was getting a tan, and I was like, how good is this? This is me. This is my thing. So I was the happiest kid. I was, I was only 20, and I was swimming really good times. I'd had a great preparation. I was race weight. I was under the best skin folds I'd ever been in. And it was a time around where the super suits were involved. So 2009, Rome, it was the super suits, and I tried out a few super suits and they were amazing. I was like, this is just insane. The times I was swimming in warm up and the times I was swimming before Rome were just really fast in those suits. Obviously, I had the best suits coming into Rome, and I tried them, and It was, I think it was the day before the race, the day before the competition started. And I remember I was on the massage table. I do like getting massages all the time. And Bowley like never comes into like the treatment room ever. So I remember him coming into the room and he was like, I was getting in the middle of a massage and he was like, Megs, like you need to get dressed, like you need to, like I need to have a chat to you. And I was like, whoa, like what's going on? And so I thought it was pretty serious that he kind of interrupted my massage. So I remember getting dressed and he was like, oh, we're just going to go to my room and have a little chat about something. And I've never, ever seen my coach like this. He was all fidgety and his eyes were just like really kind of glassy and just a little bit, his mannerisms were really off and weird. And so I remember sitting on the chair and Bowley was like literally nearly about to cry and I was like what is it? Like what's going on? And he just said, look, your brother's been involved in a car accident back home. And that's I just went numb, really, to be honest. I went numb and I didn't know what to do, and Bowley couldn't actually find the words to try and tell me. So I didn't know if, obviously, like any of the kind of context. I didn't know any details. So, yeah, I just remember like throwing up a few times because I just felt physically sick. And I just remember asking, like, obviously, like he was in an accident, like did he survive or did he not survive? And yeah, that's when it kind of just like hit home, like, sorry. Yeah, it hit home and that's, kind of where my world changed a lot. And Bowley didn't really know what to say, and what do you say in those situations? There's nothing to say. So I just remember like calling my mum and she was in hysterics, so obviously like couldn't talk. And Bowley we sat there for I think nearly like 2 hours, not really saying anything, just kind of like crying, and like he just hugged me and like made sure I was okay. And I spoke to my mum, I spoke to my sister, and they were actually coming to the hotel. So they got to the hotel and we all kind of just had lunch and kind of just figured out like what we were going to do. And Bowley never pushed me, like never wanted me to race the next day, never wanted me to think about swimming or the world championships or anything. He just calmly said, like, Megs, whatever you want to do in regards to like the world champs, I'll support you in like any way you can. And I just remember thinking that I've done all this hard work and like my brother is like into sport, and I just remember thinking he would just be like, no way, like in hell that you're not swimming, or like you've done all this work and like you're not just going to give up like that easy. He'd probably like punch me or something if I didn't do it. So I just thought, like, I'm here, I may as well have a crack. Like, mentally it was probably the hardest thing in the world to ever do. And I didn't sleep that night, but there was the relay for the 4x1 freestyle relay the next morning. And I remember it so clearly. Like, I had no sleep, but I just couldn't, I had no I didn't feel anything. I was trying to put on my suit. I actually split 2 suits trying to put it on because I was just like so anxious and so nervous, and I just wanted to put the suit on, swim, and then see what happened. And I put the suit on, it broke. So I put another one on, the zip broke, and I was like, oh my God, like I just can't deal. So tried to put another one on, had a little time out, swam the race. I actually didn't feel any pain, like for the first time in a swimming race. Like I just didn't feel anything. It didn't hurt. I swam a great time. I split like 53.8, I think, which for me was probably my fastest swim. I actually didn't care what my time was. I didn't ask my coach what my time was. And I just remember after the race I just got unzipped like out of my suit and I went straight to the bathroom and just sat under the shower probably for like 45 minutes. And it just felt like the world kind of had just been like the weight of the world was just like lifted off my shoulders. Like I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I just felt like that one race kind of a lot of pressure and a lot of, people asking me what I was going to do or anything. It was just like, oh, okay, like I've done one race, let's just see what happens. And yeah, it was that kind of when that's the time it really kicked in. I saw my coach afterwards and I just just bawled my eyes out, and I just remember so clearly, he gave me a hug and he was like, you don't have to do this, like I'm not going to put you through that anymore. So I decided obviously to pull out of the rest of the meet. Mentally I just wasn't there, and it was just so draining. I remember like sleeping the whole way home on the flight, so I told my teammates, I told the Australian head coach that I obviously didn't want to do it, and we flew home, so I flew home with my family. And I think that's when reality hit. You know, there was cameras and stuff at the airport, and to go through like a family tragedy and for other people to want to know what happened or to want to know how you're feeling is really something that I never thought other people would want to know about. So having cameras shoved in your face and asking how you're feeling and taking photos and stuff at the airport, that was really hard to try and come home and deal kind of with everything. And I think the biggest thing that I kind of went through emotion-wise was a lot of people were like, oh, what can we do? What can we, there was a lot of support, which I'm so thankful for. And I think that proves, kind of everyone is human and everything can happen and everyone's going through some pretty crazy shit. So it was nice to have people supporting you and being there for when, kind of your whole world kind of comes crashing down.
Yeah, and all for such a young girl, 20 years of age. And I remember being back home here on the Gold Coast, and it was, such a media story to sort of live that out, in the public eye is another thing altogether. And I mean, your brother Amos was a great athlete himself, surf lifesaver, I believe. So the sporting genes run very deep in the Ney family. Yeah. And then, Megan, thanks for taking us there, because obviously, the years pass, but the memories don't.
Yeah.
So for a young lady, you've been through some incredible hardships, and let's go with that in mind over to some learnings. So the highs, the lows, the learnings.
Yeah.
Although highs, let's not move off highs too soon, because coming off the back of that was 2009. You had your Olympic debut.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was 2012 Olympics, but in between that there was a great success at the 2010 Commonwealth Games, double gold. So what's been the highest day of your athletic career?
Definitely Commonwealth Games for sure, without a doubt. For me, like, there'll be a lot of athletes that say that India was like one of their worst experiences, and I think for me it was the best experience. I loved it. I loved the culture. I loved the people. I loved the food, which was really weird. Everyone was getting sick, and I was like, I don't get sick. Like, this is awesome. And I wasn't doing the best, to be honest. I came in to Commonwealth Games over my skin folds, over my weight, but I was just stoked to be there. I was so happy. I was like, whatever happens. Oh well. And I just remember going, it was my birthday, it was in October, so I celebrated my birthday the night that I won the 4x2 relay, which was pretty cool. And then like my whole team and like the crowd sang happy birthday to me, so that was like pretty special. But I think the biggest high obviously was my 200 backstroke. I wasn't really swimming the best backstroke I had coming into it. I was swimming more freestyle. And I just remember talking to Jeff Hugel, who made a comeback at the 2010 Commonwealth Games, and he was on the 100 fly the same night as my 200 backstroke. And I remember in the warm up I was so nervous. I don't even know why I was so nervous, but I turned to him and said, "Oh, hey, how do you deal with nerves? Like, what's your thing dealing with nerves?" And he just said, "Just have fun. Just go with it. Like, it's fun. Like, all he said was have fun, go with it." And I was like, oh, that's like a pretty crap piece of advice. Just go with it, have fun. Like, that's what everyone says. But I think it's just the simple things that go with it, have fun. And I remember, in the marshalling area, kind of, just listening to my music, kind of going with it, have fun. And I pretty much had a blinder of a swim, and ended up like the last 50 was the fastest split in the world ever, which was pretty cool. So I came back in like a 32.1, which no one had ever done, and everyone was like, that's crazy. And from there, it was I'd won 2 gold medals, and my mom and my 2 sisters were there, and they were going absolutely crazy, and they had the best time. They'd been traveling around India, and I don't know, when it all kind of comes together after a pretty crappy year the year before, and I just kind of went through it and had fun. And I took a good break after that, heading into the 2011 season. And I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the highs, and I enjoyed everything that went with it. And I think you just try and ride that little high for as long as you can. Then you get back into the routine of trying to go again. I think you learn a lot more from your lows than you do your highs. I just remember going, oh, how good's this? Like, I want to do this forever. But I don't think I learned as much about myself from the highs than I did from my lows. So that's a little kind of good little thing I say to people is, the highs are great, but you learn a lot more about your lows, about yourself and about as an athlete, and about what kind of drives you and what makes you better. So, but the highs are awesome. That was like the best year of my swimming career. And to make 2 Olympics is amazing. But I think to kind of come back after a crappy year of 2009 and to prove that, prove a few people wrong. And I wanted to give it away pretty much the sport after 2009. And to come back from that, I think was, pretty cool and pretty, everyone goes through some pretty shitty days, and to come out the other side and still be able to be at my best, it was pretty cool.
So double gold, 200 backstroke, and member of the 4x200 metre freestyle winning team. What was it? Can you remember what your coach Michael Bowles said after that, having been with you through the lowest of lows to then? Yeah,
I think that was pretty special. I remember like after my 4x2 relay, like Bowles wasn't showing much emotion, and I just remember like getting a high five, and I was like, really? Like, I only got a high five? Like, is this a joke? He's like, don't get too excited, you still have your 200 backstroke. And I was like, whoa, like, I just won a gold medal. Like, I'm going to be excited. And then when I won the 200 backstroke, I remember I was like, okay, I've got to get more than a high five. And he like shook my hand. I was like, really? Like a handshake? Anyway, so I ended up like just giving a huge hug. And he's not really like a hugging person. So for him to get it, like for me to get a hug off him, I think that kind of, just proved he's not one to show emotion. So I think deep down, like he was so proud and like so happy. But at the same time, like he knows like kind of what I went through. And I think he was, just pretty happy that I got back in the pool and got back to where he knew that I could do good times. So to get a hug out of Bowley, I was pretty stoked.
It's better than the gold medal.
Yeah.
You're listening to dual Olympic Australian swim team member and dual Commonwealth Games champion Megan Nay sharing around the highs, the lows and the learnings of her swimming career. If you missed last week's episode featuring Jimmy Tuttle of the Queensland Reds rugby union side, then here's a little snippet of what you missed.
Performing at your best, I suppose. Doing a little bit each day, making sure you're looking after yourself as well, because you can always train so hard, but if you're not doing the right things in recovery, injuries can flare up. So making sure you look after yourself physically and mentally as well. It's something I've looked to improve on, is my mental well-being and happiness. And I see that there's a direct correlation between when I'm happy and enjoying things and how I'm performing on the field as well.
To tune into the full episode 157 with Jimmy Tuttle, be sure to jump over to your favourite podcast player, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts, and enjoy the full episode. Whilst there, feel free to peruse all the episodes dating right back to episode 1, featuring Surf Lifesaving Ironman champion Ali Day. For now, let's jump back in the water with Megan Nay on this featured performer episode. Are you ready for performance round?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
Let's do it. Favourite session? What was Megan Nay's favourite session?
The recovery session. My favourite session, I think, to be honest, I actually really enjoyed like the anaerobic stages of really, like, we do 1650s best average on a Thursday afternoon, and it would be, I think it was on 2 minutes or 2 minutes 30. So to try and hit your race pace for 1650s at, on 2 minutes, so you're getting, say, a minute 30 rest or 2 minutes rest for 16 of them, that really pushes you to the limit. And your lactate levels are really high, and mentally you want to give up, and mentally the pain is just like hectic. But for me, I think I was like, this is awesome. Like, you kind of have to adapt to how much you can push yourself and how much you can go through that pain and see kind of where it takes you. So I know it sounds weird, but I really enjoyed those really painful sessions.
It doesn't sound weird when you're an elite athlete. Training session you most disliked, what was that?
Oh, Monday morning. Monday mornings I used to really dislike. I don't like the word hate, but dislike. Monday mornings after a fun weekend, I'd usually come in pretty like lethargic, or sometimes it'd be like a hit and miss for me. Like sometimes I'd be really good, sometimes I would just be like, who are you? Like, you're so not a good swimmer. Like, you're so slow. But yeah, once you got through that Monday, kind of, it's the least favourite of the whole week.
What would fuel you normally on race day?
Like food wise?
Yeah.
I think a lot of things. I just like good food. So I'm really kind of, I don't like milk, and my stomach is a little bit precious sometimes. So I couldn't, in the mornings, like I couldn't do cereal or protein shakes or anything like that. So I used to just have toast and avocado, dry muesli, dry cooked pasta. I really like watermelon, protein bars, and I'd always have lollies. I know it's probably not the best thing, but I'd have like a little bag of mixture of, not just one, I had like a mixture of lollies. So my dentist wouldn't be happy about that, but it'd be right. But yeah, just remember, just fueling yourself with good. I think more the recovery stage of once you've done your race. I used to have a set routine of everything that I went through. It's
interesting though, your stomach, you said sensitive, but it withstood the rigours of the New Delhi, the meals, but it took out other teammates of yours.
Kept it simple.
Kept it simple.
Kept it simple.
Through your training, what was your bedtime, morning time routine like?
Oh, I love sleep. I just love sleep. I would sleep forever if I could. It's just so good. And I can't tell you how much sleep is so important for everyone training or wanting to be an athlete or just recovery. For me, I was really early into bed. So I think 9... I used to have this thing like 9 p.m. and then fall asleep whenever afterwards, but try and be in bed by 9. And I'd get up at 4:42 every morning. So those 2 minutes, I'm like a 2 minute, like extra 2 minutes you can have 4:42. But one alarm, I was straight up and out. Otherwise, if I snooze, I'm like all over. Yeah, I won't get up.
Who's the athlete that Megan Nay most admired and why?
Growing up?
Yeah.
I actually didn't admire anyone, I know it sounds bad, but I'm into so many sports. Like, I love sport and I love every different kind of sport. And I actually looked up to my mum. I know it sounds like a little bit cliche, like whatever, but for my mum to bring up 4 kids as a single mum, and we all turned out, like, I feel pretty good. So, and she worked and ran 2 businesses, and we all got educated. We were all like pretty good, and to set us on the right path, I think for me, I just looked up to her. Like, I have no idea how she did it. And like, I was a naughty kid, so I don't know, to admire that and to inspire me to kind of be like that as a person and a mum, I think is, that was pretty special growing up. I think, there's lots of people that inspire me in sport, but, I didn't really look up to anyone too much in swimming, or I didn't ever want to be like someone. I just kind of wanted to be my own person and see what I could do.
Oh, that's brilliant. Super mum, hey?
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Toughest what a lady. Toughest competitor Megan ever raced?
Me? Oh, definitely Belinda Hocking. I think we had like such a kind of ding-dong battle the whole way through my swimming career that, she was pretty tough. I'd win one thing, and then the next time we met, she would win, and I'd win trials, and then we'd go to, Commonwealth Games or Worlds, and she'd beat me, or it would be the other way around. So I think, and we pushed each other. We came to, the same level at Olympics. It was our first Olympics, and then, went through the ranks, and yeah, she definitely pushed me to my limits. And I just remember getting so competitive and so like annoyed that she would beat me all the time. And now I look back, and to get that is really good, like to have that kind of competitiveness against someone. And we were friends outside the pool, so in the pool it was really hard, but yeah, she was tough, and yeah, it pushed us both. It was nice. Was
there a mantra that you'd use when you were racing or training? Obviously Jeff Hugill shared with you just go with it, have fun. But beyond that, was there anything that you had as regular self-talk?
Yeah, so my big thing was focus on the process and the outcome will look after itself. The biggest thing that Bowley always used to say, wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? So we're all obviously all different, and it would be boring if we all had the same kind of, goals or the same kind of mannerisms. So I think, just focusing on what you can control and what works for you that was my biggest mantra.
Best recovery tip from Megan Nay? Sleep and massage.
I really like ice baths. Like, I know that obviously painful, but I would say ice bath and sleep. I love ice baths. So if you've got an ice bath, or you can kind of tap into that little recovery mode, ice baths and sleep, definitely.
One word to describe your racing style, what would that be?
Oh, geez, one word? I don't know. One word. I would just say back end speed. I know, BES. It's not real, it's 3 words, but I'm going to abbreviate into BES. I would say back end speed because I didn't have enough speed going out, so I'd always have a better last 100.
All right, I'm sure there'll be no one that will lay down a BES as their one word, but you can make your own rules. Go with it, have fun. Yeah. Megan, how would you describe being in the zone?
Being in the zone, find what works for you. I think being in the zone is individual. What works for me might not work for someone else. Find trial and error. Find what's good for you. If it's music or if it's laughing, just trial and error for me.
When was the last time you were in the zone?
I tried to be in the zone. I did a 2K swim on Sunday, and I tried to get in the zone beforehand, but I was like a quarter maybe in the zone. But I think the last time, obviously, when I was racing, what was my last race? I think, 2014 Commonwealth Games trials. I think that was the full zone. I try and tap into the half a zone, but I just laugh too much.
And last question, the performance round, you've done so well here. What was the hardest session you can ever recall doing?
Hardest session? Bowley would just give us lots. I think I'm not good at butterfly, so it was never that. But what did we do? I think the threshold sessions were probably the hardest. Trying to get race pace, so it's like 1650s. Best average. So I'm talking like the fastest you can go for a 50, and you have 1 minute 30 or 2 minutes rest, and then you do that 16 times. Your lactate was up to 16, 17, and you would do anything to try and get that lactate out. And you're not allowed to swim down. You just have to sit there and let all the lactate accumulate, and just hope for the next one that you either don't vomit or don't drown.
Was there a few vomits?
There was, there was definitely, multiple vomits for sure.
In the pool or out of the pool?
Obviously out of the pool.
I thought there might have been a sabotage happening in the lane, so we're going to close the pool.
Definitely outside. But I think pushing yourself to the max, you find out what your body can and can't do very quickly.
Brilliant. You're out of the performance round. Well done.
Made it.
Megan Nay. Yes, you did. Megan Nay, if you could boil everything you've learnt through your career, your swimming career, beyond your swimming career, your life, to one piece of advice to help listeners of the show perform at their best across any endeavour, what would Megan Nay's one bit of advice be? One
bit of advice would be everyone is going through something. Be kind always, and I think focus on what you can control and what you can't. Then more focus on what you can and rather not what you can't. And I think, everyone, you worry about you and just be you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Megan Nay, every guest issues listeners with a physical challenge for the week. So, what is Megan Nay's physical challenge for the week going to be?
Okay, for the week, my challenge would be to try and do something every day. I'm a big believer in moving every day, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 20 minutes. I would love for you to go for a swim. My swimming session at the moment is like fins, and I go very slow. I don't care how fast or slow you go, but try and get into a pool, try and do 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, as many as you can, but try and just keep moving. And once you've done it, just walk away with a little smile. I'd be pretty happy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Megan Nay, finish these sentences. The most important thing in life is...
Family.
What drives you to work hard?
What drives me to work hard? I think the crappy times that you have drive you to be better as a person as well.
It's the difference between a great coach and not a great coach.
Have you got another hour? No. I think caring, it's not all about sport, it's not all about results. I think if you can be a better person because of your coach as well, and they can make you a better person outside of the pool, I think that's the difference between a good coach and just an average coach, is knowing the person.
What mistakes are you afraid of making?
I feel like always... My biggest mistake I think I'm afraid to make is not being good enough at something. Like I've found that I am good at swimming. Like that's what I found I'm good at. And I think that I'm scared to try something in case I fail. I don't like failing. And I think that's, my biggest fear is not being good enough at something that, I'm not good at.
Megan, you're on a new chapter, about to finish your personal training certification at the end of this week, also doing some Learn to Swim work. If we want to follow your journey, and you're a good follow on Instagram, where can we find you?
Yeah, give me a follow. I do try and put up a fair bit on my Instagram. I do a little bit of motivational stuff through my Instagram. My email's on there, so it's nay.megan. You should find me through that. I also have Facebook. My email's up there. I'm love to have a chat to anyone. So if you're going through some pretty shitty times, kind of been there and done that. And if anyone wants any advice or anything about anything sport related, life, anything like that, I won't know what to say obviously, but I can kind of always listen. And been through some pretty crazy stuff. So I'm still going okay.
You are going more than okay. Megan, thank you for stopping by and
Awesome.
and featuring on the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it, another episode of the Physica Performance Show, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, then please take a moment to let Megan and myself know what it was that you enjoyed about Megan's share-ins. You'll find Megan over on social media, once again at nay.megan, and that is spelled nay.meagen. So nay.megan over on social media, Instagram. You'll find myself at Brad_beer, and of course the show at Physica Performance Show. And please feel free to send a Podsy live. That's simply a screenshot of the episode that you're enjoying and tag of the Physica Performance Show with a little note what it is that you're up to and what it is that you're enjoying about the episode. They are a lot of fun to see them coming through. So thank you for the Podsies. Thank you also for the ratings and reviews coming through on iTunes. In particular, this week, a massive shout out to Willow Wilson 24, who rated the show 5 stars and commented, "Brad's extensive knowledge, along with the experts from different fields of physical and mental performance and well-being, give listeners the knowledge to make changes with greatly improved quality of life. The interviews conducted with athletes give anyone who is aspiring to become a professional athlete themselves guidance and skills to achieve their own physical best. As many of the athletes are from sports that unfortunately do not receive the publicity of other sports in Australia. It is fantastic to hear an insight into the work they continue to do without the public recognition and financial support that other athletes receive." Willow, please get in touch at Brad_beer, and we'll be sure to post you out a copy of You Can Run Pain Free now in its 2nd edition as a little way of saying thank you for taking the time to leave that review. And if you're yet to hit subscribe to the Physica Performance Show, the threshold is 4 episodes that you've enjoyed. If you've enjoyed more than 4 episodes, then please hit subscribe. It really is the best way to not only get the show into your earbuds each and every week, but also to help the show grow and reach more people who, just like yourself, are looking to perform and pursue their own physical best performance. So thank you in advance for hitting subscribe. Massive thanks once again to today's show sponsor, the Gold Coast Marathon. If you are looking for a mid-year physical challenge in Australia, then really look no further than the Gold Coast Marathon. It's on my calendar every year, and it is such a fantastic weekend that can be enjoyed by any range of competitor. There's a junior dash right through to the full-length feature marathon, to select from, jump over to www.goldcoastmarathon.com.au. Massive thanks, as always, to the three very good folk who make the Physica Performance Show possible each and every week. That's Daryl Misson, our audio engineer, Susan Wilkin on all things show administration, and Matthew Walding on all things show graphic design. Now, coming up on next week's episode of the Physica Performance Show, we keep the featured performer theme going and the female athlete theme going with professional triathlete and Super League triathlon champion Katie Safiras. I caught up with Katie recently while she was on a training camp in Mallorca, Spain, and we chatted through the highs, the lows, and the learnings of her career to date. Katie is a lot of fun and shares some great tips around performance, so be sure to be tuning in next week to the Physica Performance Show. Until then, keep pursuing your physical best performance. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physica Performance Show.